It was the early 1990s in Sydney, Australia, a city known for its beautiful beaches, vibrant culture, and bustling city life. But behind the sun-drenched skyline and the waves crashing on Bondi Beach, there lurked a dark and terrifying mystery that would grip the city for years to come. It was a mystery that came to be known as the Backpacker Murders. The year was 1991, when a young German backpacker, Simone Schmidl, arrived in Sydney with dreams of exploring the Australian outback. Simone had been travelling across Europe and Asia, and now, she was making her way through Australia. She was known for being adventurous, eager to explore remote parts of the country. In January, she travelled alone to the southern part of New South Wales, heading towards the Belle Anglo State Forest, an isolated area in the bush, not far from Sydney. Simone disappeared without a trace. Despite her disappearance, there was no immediate link to any other missing person cases. No one suspected that her fate was part of something much darker. By April of 1992, the mystery deepened. Anja Habskid, another German backpacker, was reported missing after leaving Sydney and heading for a remote area near Belle Anglo State Forest. Anja, like Simone, was travelling alone, hitchhiking and camping along the way. She vanished without a word. Her disappearance mirrored Simone's, and once again, authorities had no immediate leads. Backpackers were warned to stay cautious, but there was no solid reason to think that something sinister was at play. Months later, another backpacker disappeared. Caroline Clark, a British tourist, had been travelling through Australia and was last seen in the Blue Mountains area. Caroline was a bright, energetic young woman with a passion for travel. Her disappearance in February 1992 caused some alarm, but once again, there was no obvious connection to the earlier disappearances of Simone and Anja. Caroline's family, worried and desperate, would wait in vain for any sign of her. At the time, no one could have imagined the true horror that was beginning to unfold. The breakthrough came in the fall of 1993 when a body was found in Belle Anglo State Forest, though at first, the police weren't sure who it belonged to. The body was that of Simone Schmidl, the first missing backpacker, from 1991. She had been brutally murdered, her body left in the remote forest, hidden away from the world. Simone's body was discovered by two men who had been out hunting in the area. The scene was shocking. She had been stabbed 8 times, 2 which severed her spine and 6 times puncturing her heart and lungs, and her body had been left to decompose in the bush for nearly 2 years. The discovery raised serious concerns among police, who now had reason to believe that the disappearances were connected, and that a serial killer might be at work. As the investigation into Simone's death deepened, authorities began to link more cases. Another chilling discovery was made when the bodies of Joanne Walters and Caroline Clark were found near Belle Anglo State Forest. Walters had been stabbed 15 times, 4 times in the chest, once in the neck, and 9 times in the back, which would have paralyzed her. Clark had been shot 10 times in the head at the burial site, and police believe she had been used as target practice. In response to the finds, on the 14th of October, 1993, Task Force Air, containing more than 20 detectives and analysts, was set up by the NSW police. On the 5th of November, 1993, the NSW government increased the reward in relation to the Belle Anglo serial killings to $500,000. On the 13th of November, 1993, police received a call from Paul Onions in the UK. On the 25th of January, 1990, Onions had been backpacking in Australia, and while hitchhiking from Liverpool Station towards Mildura, had accepted a ride south out of Casula from a man known only as Bill. South of the town of Mittagong, and less than 1 kilometre from Belle Anglo State Forest, Bill stopped and pulled out a revolver and some ropes stating it was a robbery, at which point Onions managed to flee while Bill pursued and shot at him. Onions flagged down Joanne Berry, a passing motorist, and together they sped off and described the assailant and his vehicle to the Bowral police. On the 13th of April, 1994, detectives refound the note regarding Onion's call and sought the original report from Bowral police, but it was missing. Fortunately, a constable had recorded details in her notebook. Onion's statement was corroborated by Berry, who had also contacted the investigation team, along with the girlfriend of a man who worked with Ivan Milat, who thought he should be questioned over the case. On the 26th of February, 1994, police surveillance of the Milat house at Cinnabar Street, Eagle Vale commenced. Police learnt that Milat had recently sold his silver Nissan Patrol four-wheel drive shortly after the discovery of the bodies of Clark and Walters. Police also confirmed that Milat had not been working on any of the days of the attacks, and acquaintances also told police about Milat's obsession with weapons. Milat's brother, Bill, who often had his identity used by his brother for work or vehicle registrations, was questioned by investigators. When the connection between the Bell Anglo murders and Onion's experience was made, Onions flew to Australia to help with the investigation. On the 5th of May, 1994, Onions positively identified Milat as the man who had picked him up and attempted to murder him. Milat was arrested at his home on the 22nd of May, 1994 on robbery and weapon charges related to the Onions attack after 50 police officers surrounded the premises, including heavily armed officers from the Tactical Operations Unit. The search of Milat's home revealed various weapons, including a .22 caliber Anschutz Model 1440-142 rifle and parts of a .22 caliber Ruger 10-22 rifle that matched the type used in the murders, a Browning pistol, and a Bowie knife. Also uncovered was foreign currency, clothing, a tent, sleeping bags, camping equipment and cameras belonging to several of his victims. Milat appeared in court on the 23rd of May, but he did not enter a plea. On the 31st of May, Milat was also charged with the 7 backpacker murders. On the 28th of June, Milat sacked his defense lawyer, Marston, and sought legal aid to pay for his defense. On the 27th of July, 1996, after 18 weeks of testimony, a jury found Milat guilty of the murders. He was given a life sentence on each count without the possibility of parole. He was also convicted of the attempted murder, false imprisonment and robbery of Onions, for which he received 6 years jail each.